Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us at the MarketSite studio, we have Stephen Dickens, Vice President of Hybrid Cloud at the Futurum Group, to discuss why AI is the overall contributor for hyperscale public cloud companies and enterprises as they explore new services. We're also going to take a look at trends in the cloud space and what some of the key future drivers could be. It's great to have you with us, Stephen. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Hey, Jill. Thanks for having me on the show.
You got it. Let's talk about the latest trends in the market. Hybrid, and more hybrid.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Obviously, the hyperscale cloud providers get a lot of the airtime. They get a lot of the focus. We've had a big earnings week this week for a few of those hyperscalers, and they always get their lion's share of the news. But I was out with Antonio Neri from HPE recently at one of their events. They're still seeing growth. They're indicative. We're still seeing growth from IBM in their infrastructure sector. Everybody is living in a hybrid world, so I think it's cloud, but it's hybrid both on-prem, in a co-location data center, and also at a hyperscale cloud provider.
How is it infusing everything from chatbots to customer-facing to IT operations? Of course, you have to think about security as well.
So AI is everywhere. It's empowering a lot of the enterprise IT functions. Whilst generative AI has caught the public zeitgeist, and we're going to see that in the consumer world, we're going to see that as enterprises look to improve operations, improve security. We're looking at, I was out at Splunk last week. They're infusing it into some of their enterprise IT management and automation. We're going to see AI everywhere.
Let's talk about the market forecast for July 2023. How much revenue are you expecting to be derived from this? I mean, how big is this market?
So we've launched some new research earlier this week. 122.7 billion is where we predict the market will be by 2027. That's a 22.6% CAGR on the numbers we saw last year, which were just over 65 billion. AI is going to be everywhere. That's obviously big names like NVIDIA, but you're going to see AMD, you're going to see Intel, you're going to see all of the hyperscale cloud providers, and some of those hybrid names that I mentioned as well, the OEMs, the HPEs, the Dells, the Lenovos, the IBMs. It's going to be across the sector as a whole.
What are some of the leading economic sectors, and where are you seeing some lag?
So I think we're going to see it come through to some of the unsurprising sectors like telco. We're going to see financial services, some of the AI on some of the large language models is going to make sense there first. Maybe lagging in hospitality and some of those other sectors. I think, but what we're seeing is it's going to be pervasively deployed. It's just a question of which sector goes first.
Let's talk about search for a moment here. Not getting into specific companies, but how do you see generative AI switching the search model?
Well, I think there's a lot of focus on the disruption. I think we're going to see more from maybe the number two, you know who I mean. We're going to see more in that space, but I think people are going to be searching for answers rather than just the type of search they're doing at the moment. There's a lot of work to do on the UI of search. I don't think we've seen ChatGPT tail off from a usage point of view because the interface isn't what people are looking for. I think we're going to see that come back, and generative AI is going to really start to impact search. How much that disrupts the market leader Google in the space? Too early to say. It's
interesting. I mean, I've been on other platforms, private companies, not necessarily, the larger names that we hear, one being a travel site. And you just put in, I've never been to Spain before. Where are the top 10 places for tourists to go? I'll be here for 5 days. And it creates an itinerary from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, which to me is light years ahead of existing travel search engines.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of those consumer use cases. I spoke to Ash Kulkarni, the CEO of Elastic, who are working with a lot of enterprises on enterprise AI deployments. I think we're going to see that first start to be what drives some of those market numbers rather than the consumer use cases.
All right, Stephen, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.